Visible, right?
I've started the recording.
All right. So, welcome back everyone to this powerful session of Women's Growth Series, Session 4. Session 4 happens to be the last session of this growth series, and it is named Reinvent with Intention, Designing Your Comeback and Growth Roadmap. So, the three words for today are reflect, reset, and rise. So, we all know the word what reinvention is. However, reinvention is not just starting over, it is starting wiser. When it comes to restarting our own careers, we want to start it as a wiser person. So long before the world sees a new version of you, you begin updating yourself internally with a new thought, with a new skill, a new decision to not remain where you are right now. So that is how reinvention begins. Moving ahead with session 4, let us just recap what we have done in the past 3 sessions, the building blocks of session 4. Session 1 was FOBO, fear of being obsolete. And we understood how to have that survival quotient within us to overcome the FOBO. We understood that fear gives us a feedback. And we also understood learn, adapt, and overcome are the mantras for our survival quotient there. Session 2, we brought them together with value becoming our strength. We understood that our experience is not expired and we can definitely work on some transferable skills by recognizing, reframing, and reclaiming our value that gives us strength. Taking session 1 and 2 together, we joined in session 3, wherein we understood that relevance is power and adaptability is our actual job security. We understood that relevance is a continuous build, it is not permanent. We understood the three magical words explore, evolve, and excel. Now, bringing all this together, session 1, 2, and 3, we have a power packed session 4 wherein we will talk about reinventing ourselves. We will also talk about the roadmap that we can take to reinvent ourselves. Now, there are few myths around reinventing or probably making a comeback. In the very beginning, let us burst few myths around that. So, the first myth around a comeback is that it requires a dramatic, loud launch. We cannot have a Dhurandhar comeback for ourselves, right? It is too dramatic. But the reality is that it starts quietly with intentional redirection. That is the reality. We cannot have a dramatic, loud launch ever. That is a myth. We need to consistently and quietly work with intention towards it. The second myth that we see here is starting completely from zero. It does not mean that you have to start from zero. We start from whatever we have, we start from our strength and the experiences that we have. We do not have to start from the very beginning. The myth here we also see that it requires a 5-year master plan. No, it is not that. It does not take that long. It requires a structured 90-day starting point wherein you realize what you're doing and then make plans further. It also says that it demands unwavering loud confidence. No, it requires a clear structure and confidence follows action. Whenever you follow the structure, confidence comes back or it follows through that. So these are some myths that we need to burst before getting into reinvention or having our own comebacks. So these are the real life translations of our mindset shift when we actually work towards our reinvention or comebacks. The fear of being obsolete translates into those who embrace early learning reduce fear instantly. We understood about that in session 1 as well. The old mindset was I have been inactive, my experience is expired. But the reality or the real translation is that managing home is your operations. Raising children is emotional intelligence, and handling budgets is financial thinking. Relevance is permanent once achieved. No, that was an old mind shift. But here we know that adaptability is power, and whether we are teaching or we are mastering UPIs, that is relevance. So there are two, you know, people out here. So one is an overthinker, and the other one is the reinventor. So overthinker is into a trap. His mindset is always into, I need to feel completely confident before I start. But a reinventor would think that confidence is a result of taking action, not the prerequisite. So most of us know driving out here, four-wheel driving, right? Now, for learning how to drive or to be confident to drive, having a car is not a prerequisite. We can actually learn on the motor vehicle learning car as well. The confidence will come automatically. We don't have to have that as a prerequisite. It will come. So once we are experienced, the confidence automatically comes. And that is the big truth. So clarity comes from action and not overthinking. We do not have to have five different online courses, but if you do not apply the knowledge, that will not really help. The reinventor would think that I need to choose one specific skill and immediately apply it into a real project. And the result is, for a overthinker, it is a trap. So he would also always think that others are better than me. And what if I fail? That is the overthinker's trap. But a reinventor would think that changing direction with complete clarity using existing strength is what I need to do. A reinventor would think in that terms. That is, this is the reinvention mindset matrix if you look at it deeply. So there is this difference between awareness and execution. So the trap, as we talk about, and the truth. So the trap is, we often would say, I don't know where to start. What if I fail? Or others are better than me. So as a result, many take five courses but never apply a single lesson. So this is not lack of knowledge, this is lack of direction. People do not know where to head towards. So they are not aware. And that is the reason they do not execute. So, clarity comes from action and not overthinking. And most people do not begin because they feel underconfident. But in reality, confidence arrives if you act and not before it. And without a system, growth stays emotional. Without a system, growth, or with a system, growth becomes real. So today we are going to talk about that system with which you can get that reinvention or the comeback that you're actually looking at. You might feel that you are into a trap, but we will unveil that system today. So, what is that anatomy of reinvention? So, changing direction with clarity, using your existing strengths would give you a powerful reinvention. Now, what do we say by changing direction with clarity? Let us have a look into it. So, when we talk about the architecture of reinvention, we talk about four stages. These four stages are reflect, reset, rebuild, and rise. Two are internal, the other two are external. Let us just dive into it, what exactly these are. So reflect means awareness and not confusion. All right. So, here in this particular phase, when we talk about reflect, we are actually understanding our self location. Self location would mean where exactly we are, understanding our own self. This phase needs to be done by you to understand your own self. So here are a few diagnostic checklists which are given here, which you need to answer in order to understand your self location or where you exactly are right now. So what season of life and career am I in right now? What do I need more of? What do I no longer need or want? What is draining my energy? Or what is calling me forward? These are some reflective questions that you need to answer for yourself to understand or move ahead in the next phase. And the next phase happens to be reset. So, in the phase of reinvention, once we reflect, we need to reset. Once we have the answers for those questions, we need to reset. And reset what? We need to reset our mindset. We need to reset our routines. We need to reset our self image and visibility. So, reinvention begins when we identify what cannot continue unchanged. I repeat that what cannot continue unchanged. We need to understand that. And we need to reset that intentionally because we have a default button everybody. So by default there are few settings. Now intentionally we are resetting it. So from self doubt to ownership, from reactive to a structured time management, from minimizing the journey to claiming your own narrative, and from hiding in the background to showing up clearly. That is what we need to reset, and that is an intentional thing to do. And that is also an internal part. We have to do it for our own self. Nobody else is going to do that for you. My mindset, I need to change. No one else is going to change that for me. After we do the reflect and reset, we have the third phase, which is known as the rebuild. So, what do we rebuild and what aspects do we rebuild? We rebuild our confidence, we rebuild our capability, we rebuild our consistency, our credibility, and our community. This is a very important aspect. Rebuilding our community, joining relevant spaces and networks just like Herky. We need those powerful spaces to build ourselves up, to rebuild ourselves up. This will actually increase our confidence, our capability, consistency, and credibility. Because when you see people like you around you who are thriving, who are growing, you feel like going ahead with them because the community matters. It helps you grow. So, the fourth phase is rise. After reflect, reset, rebuild, we have the phase four, that is rise. So, rising is not about becoming louder, it is about becoming clearer. With this, you speak with more ownership, you act with more structure, take aligned opportunities, and stop minimizing your journey. So, in this phase of rise, your next chapter does not look like someone else's success story. It is aligned to your own life and it becomes your success stories. It does not feel like, oh, I want to be like her. I want to be something like her. No, it is your success story which is carved out of your own strength. That is actual rise. Now, I spoke about internal and external. Let us just dive a little deeper on what exactly it is. So, phase one is setting the internal foundation. In this, we have reflect and reset. So, when we talk about reflect, it is awareness and not confusion. So, there might be questions that are there in your mind. What do I want now? What am I avoiding? What excites me? The reflection questions that I told you in the reflect slide there. So it actually gives you a signal. And what signal does it give you? If you feel drained in your current role but energized at the thought of teaching, that is a data point. It is not a distraction. Please answer or please look into what is actually a distraction and no, and a calling. Something which is really making you feel worthy of. Please look at those signals. Then the internal foundation is the reset, shifting the baseline. You need to reset your mindset, your habits, your routines. So we can just stop saying I can't and rather start saying I am learning. We can stop mindless scrolling and start 30 minutes of intentional daily learning. That is the reset of a routine or habits or mindset that we can change. How do we utilize our time and change our routines? But for that, we need to change our mindset and habits, and that will work for us. That is an internal shift, internal foundation that is happening, and that is the part of a reinvention. Then the phase two is designing an external momentum. External momentum will have these two phases, rebuild and rise. So when we talk about rebuild, constructing the assets. So building confidence, we talked about skills, consistency, credibility, and network. So what can be done in this phase? So we can update our LinkedIn profiles. That gives you credibility. We start posting our content, our works, so that we get some more visibility. We can learn a new software that gives you capability. That is rebuilding ourselves. That is constructing your assets. And that is an external momentum. Then we have the rise, taking up the space. We focus on speaking confidently, applying for roles, launching initiatives, and showing your work. So instead of apologizing with, I am just learning, announce to people that I'm building my expertise in this area. That is the rise. And people will start noticing, and slowly and gradually, your reinvention, or rather, I would say, the comeback comes through. Now, after having these four phases with us, we actually have a breakthrough and we have a next chapter here. So, a comeback, I would say, there is no single correct comeback. It is your life and you design it the way you want to. So, after the four phases of your life that we just recalled, reflect, reset, rebuild, and rise, you will have a breakthrough in the following aspects. Maybe you land up a corporate job. Maybe you start an independent business. Or rather, you become a freelancer or a consultant. Maybe you dedicate some time for a learning phase. Maybe you decide intentionally that pausing to master a complex new skill will help you elevate and rise further. Or maybe it could be a hybrid mode in that you could be into a corporate job or and also doing a freelancing, or you could do a corporate job with a business and a freelancing consulting. So it could be hybrid. So it is something wherein you design your life. There is no correct comeback. Okay, this way it should be done. Or if I get a job in a corporate, that is right. There can be different aspects to it. So your next chapter, you have to design that. You need to understand what would fit in right for me. That would be your next chapter. So let us just understand, let us just see examples of few ladies, a few women who went through a setback and then came up as a shining armor. Let us just see few examples. So we all know this lady, Falguni Nair. She was an investment banker for 20 years, and at the age of 50, she is the billionaire founder of Nika. We all know what Nika is. It is one of the biggest beauty brands and richest self made women. Her timing was not perfect. Maybe at the age of 50, nobody thinks of doing that. But she did. So there was no perfect timing for her. There was no guarantee of success. Yet she went ahead. She didn't wait for her confidence to come. She built it after she started it. Once it started, then she had the confidence. So she's a super successful woman. So she transitioned from investment banking to beauty brands. Next example, Kiran Majumdar Shaw. She took a pause, she rethought her path and entered biotechnology from a garage. She is a pioneer. So she had a lot of obstacles. She had a dream of a to become a brewmaster. However, there was a roadblock which rejected her due to the gender barrier. So she rerouted, and today she is the head of Biocon. She is a biotech pioneer. So reinvention is not about starting from zero. It's about starting from your experience. She had a lot of experience and she started through that. Next, who can forget this lady? The lady because of which we all are here today, Neha Bagaria. So it was a motherhood break that she had taken, and today she is the architect of returns. She is helping so many women to come back to their job. She realized that there is this immense difficulty for women when they are trying to return to work. She understood that and she created jobs for her, but today it is known as her key. She just didn't restart her career, she helped thousands of women restart theirs. So she has also become an example. And who does not know her? Sudha Murthy. She took a deliberate step back to focus on family and social work. And today she is a best selling author and a philanthropist. Sometimes stepping back is actually preparing for a bigger step forward. And this is what she did. She was a corporate engineer. Now everybody knows her. And she has become a cultural icon at that. So we can understand that this is the non-linear reality. So the data of all these women, it proves that there is no universal schedule for success. The only common denominator is the pivot. What is your pivot? We need to understand. So everywhere we see women taking breaks. And after that break, what do you realize within yourself that actually makes you successful, or reinvent yourself, or have a comeback? That is what makes you. So the truth we all saw here is that confidence comes after starting. You start from experience, not zero. Your restart can elevate others. A step back is a slingshot forward. So none of them had a perfect timing. All of them used their pause as their power. Right? So their catalysts were different, their frictions were different, and what they built was also different. What made them pivot is totally personal. But they have made their own names. There could be a fifth story too. A story of a woman who has paused, a story of a woman who struggled, a story of a woman who is still figuring out things. So there are stories of powerful women out there, but there are also stories of women sitting right here in this room, isn't it? And that maybe the next reinvention story is yours. So breaks don't end your story, they shape your next chapter. We need to understand our pivot and move on. So for this, you all must be thinking that, Kalpaka has given us a lot of things here, what reinvention is, how many people have pivoted and they have gone to new heights. So how can we do that? So when we talked about the roadmap that we're already talking about, so today I'm going to give you a 90-day roadmap. 90-day roadmap to reinvent yourself. So, moving into the most powerful section of today, of this session for Women's Growth Series, is right in front of you now. So the 90-day blueprint, wherein in month 1, 2, and 3, we talk about your reinvention. So understand that we are not designing a 5-year fantasy. It's not a fantasy. It is reality. It is something very, very doable. It is something that we can work on. Let us understand what happens in these 90 days or the 3 months. You can note down some key areas that you can work on so that you can have a 90-day reinvention or a comeback for your own self. So, in month 1, we can understand about clarity and capability. We need to understand that the first 30 days are for preparation and not rushing. So there is some clarity we require. We need to focus on one primary direction for your next chapter, because we cannot just move here and there. We have to have a direction for us. And for that, we need clarity. And we will also develop our capability by choosing one or two future relevant skills to acquire. That would be based on the direction that you want to move forward. Then update your mindset and physical schedule, and review your transferable strengths from previous sessions. So these are the focus areas. And what are those actionable points that you can take? Take one short course or create a weekly learning plan. Rewrite your professional introduction by understanding your transferable strengths and reviewing them. Right? This is what you do in the first 30 days. So you're preparing yourself with clarity and capability for the first 30 days. The next 30 days or month 2 is all about application and visibility. The next second 30 days are about moving from learning into application. So, whatever you learned in the first 30 days, you apply them. You apply what you are actively learning. You create something tangible and visible. You join relevant community spaces, and you test your growth in real world environment. That is where application and visibility come through. So, what could be the actionable points here in month 2? You can update your LinkedIn profile. So, once you understand what are your transferable skills and you know how to, reframe them, you will be updating that on your LinkedIn profile and create some sample project for people to view it. It will give you a visibility. You can volunteer, you can consult to showcase a skill. Many pro bonos you can do. You can attend one networking webinar, maybe just like you are doing right now. So, this is a growth space, Herky. This will give you visibility. Now, in the last 30 days, from day 60 to 90, you would improve on your positioning and momentum. The final 30 days are about cementing your professional identity. Here, you would speak about your value clearly and unapologetically at that. You will pursue highly aligned opportunities and review your 90-day progress. So, when we say review your 90-day progress, the uh, the avenues that you are getting, you would assess them. What I have done in these 90 days, and accordingly, again, restructure a 90-day program for yourself. You refine your architecture for the next 90 days. So once these 90 days are over, it does not end there. You prepare another 90-day program for your own self to pivot from where you are right now. You position yourself, you create your own momentum. So, how do you do that? What could be the actionable points here? Apply for some specific roles. Pitch your service. Ask for testimonials or on LinkedIn or various other places. You begin intentional outreach. You intentionally start reaching out to people so that not only you get visibility, you have some positioning and momentum for yourself. So 90 days, month 1, month 2, and month 3 would be your roadmap to a great comeback. A great comeback wherein you know your direction, you know your skill focus, you know your activation. How do you activate it? Your bandwidth, your architecture, your vision. So this does not is a worksheet, it is an executable blueprint for your next phase. You can actually take a screenshot or write these 6 steps down, because these will help you understand your 90 days of journey. So, like in the last session, also, I gave you a caution word. Here, also, I would like to give you a caution. I give this caution because I know I myself have gone through this. I have gone through that pain. I have gone through that, hiding in that shell and then coming out of it. So, in these 90 days, when you start, the first 30 days would be highly clear, but you will have low confidence. There would be some friction of learning, but it would go on smoothly. The time period of day 31 to 60 would give you an action dip, pushing through the awkwardness of practicing a new skill. And trust me when I say that most people quit in this dip because they expect confidence immediately. That does not happen. That dip will happen in the 30 to 60 days time. But with true but the true reinvention would require trusting the 90-day timeline. And if you are through with this 60 days with your consistency, your discipline, and being at it, your confidence would spike and the momentum would take over. You will see that difference after the 75th day for sure. But there is a dip that happens. So what to do during that dip? So I gave you the 90-day plan. What do we need to do in these 90 days? I also told you that there is going to be a dip in the second month from day 31 to 60. Now what to do during that time? What we need to exactly do if there is this dip? So Kalpaka has given the problem, but Kalpaka will also give you a solution. And the solution is that whenever that fear, so understand, so this action dip here happens because of a fear, right? So once we have that fear, we need to move from hesitation to execution. So there is a fear in an unfamiliar territory, and it is a signal of growth, not a failure. So how do we do that, or what do we do that during that fear period? We need to immediately return to our month one clarity. On month one, we must have had that clarity because we were confident there. What were we doing? And the action at which you have stalled or you have stopped, we need to break it into micro steps. Those micro steps will help you understand out of these what should be my next move. And then do not wait for the perfect confidence to come. Keep moving with the structure. Do it anyways. Do it anyways, because that is the path towards your growth. So in the month 2, you will have the fear returning, and there will be two kind of people, or there will be two paths that you can take. The path one is the old way, wherein you again wait for the perfect confidence and the result is stagnation. The path B is the blueprint, wherein you return to clarity, your month one clarity, then you break it into smaller steps. Ask what is one next move. You keep moving with structure, and then the result will be growth in unfamiliar territory. So we need to understand also that this fear, when it comes in the second month or it is returning, it does not mean that you're failing. It means that you are growing, and fear is a natural phenomenon. So do not wait for the perfect confidence. Just take the next step. When you have broken it into small steps, just take that step and keep moving forward with the structure that you have already had. Right? So We need to understand that the fear will break only with the resilience loop. You have to be resilient, you have to be disciplined, you have to be structured, and you have to keep at it. It will come back, but you have to remember your why. Because if you know your why, your how becomes easy. You feel stuck. You have to remember why I started this. And you have to review your 90-day plan. Take one small step and then move. This is the resilience loop that we have to look at. And this resilience loop will break your fear and you can pivot to the next level. So while reinventing ourselves, here are a few guidelines, or I would say the guardrails that we should set for ourselves. We all are on a journey. We all are on a journey of comeback or reinvention. So always keep these 6 points in your mind. Number one, don't compare your timeline to someone else's highlight reel. So there might be a situation wherein two people maybe having the same situation, similar cases, you start off with a reinvention or a comeback journey. However, you see the other person pivot themselves better instead of you doing the same thing. So do not compare your timeline. So if a person is able to do that thing in 30 days and you are still not able to do it, do not compare. Comparison kills the comeback. It kills the comeback. So do not compare yourself when you are reinventing or wanting a comeback. Everything comes on time. It will come to you too. Just have that patience. The second important guardrail here is don't shrink your past experience to fit in a new room. So, you all have the experiences. We talked about that in session 2 at length. However, your experiences are many. Do not shrink them. Have trust, have pride in your experiences of what you've done, even in your breaks. So, do not shrink it so that you have to fit into a new room. Consider that, carry that, and that is who you actually are. Number three, don't wait to feel 100% ready before moving. Nobody's 100% ready. And it is always good to have butterflies in the stomach before we start. And that feeling, when you say, is letting you move forward. So don't wait to feel 100% ready. Nobody's 100% ready, and nobody's perfect in this world. We are all work in progress. Number four, don't accumulate learning without applying it visibly. So, whatever you are learning, please apply it. Please do some practical work around it. Because once we have that knowledge, without applying, it is all knowledge. Share it, make use of it, the knowledge that you've had. Maybe use it in some or the other, innovation. Maybe using it for your children's homework, maybe you can do that. Don't just keep accumulating the knowledge, apply it. Maybe use some of the technology or AI work with your profile photos, or learning that, and maybe improvising on your resume. That would also help. Maybe understanding how to improvise your LinkedIn profile, that would help. Number 5, don't build in total isolation without external feedback. So isolation will never work, because if you want to reinvent yourself, if you want to have a comeback, you cannot do it in isolation. You need to have people around you. You need to have a community who can actually give you a feedback on what you're doing right. Have those people around you who can give you a feedback, who could help you grow, and who are similar in what you think in terms of comeback or reinvention. That would make it possible. That would build your confidence too. Number 6, don't move a single inch without intention. Absolutely. Without intention, reinvention is just not possible. Do not move. If your intention is not there, do not move. Things will not work for you. That confidence dip will remain forever. You will never come out of it. So these are the guardrails around reinvention. Always keep these six things in your mind before going ahead or while going ahead. All right. So these are the caution words or things to be kept in mind. So before we leave for today, I would want you to architect your own comeback. We need to define your exact parameters before we leave today. So here are five powerful phrases that you need to understand and work towards in order to get your 90-day result. So we need to understand what your goal is. So you can write my goal. What is that specific role or business I am building towards? What exactly am I looking towards? My goal. The second thing is my skill. That one technical or soft skill that I will master in phase one. Phase one is the 30-day time period. What is that one skill that I would want to master? And what is my first action? What I will execute within the 48 hours? What will I do in the next 48 hours to move towards that direction? And what will be my weekly plan? How many hours per week I will dedicate to rebuild myself or to have a proper comeback that I'm looking for? Dedicate those hours. And my 90-day result. The specific outcome I will hold in my hand in the day on the day 90. So after having this 90-day roadmap or going through it, what is the end result that I am looking at? After 90 days, this is what I am looking at. Again, reinforcing you that there is no single correct comeback. You can be into a corporate job, you could be freelancing, you could own a business, you could be in a hybrid mode. What exactly are you looking for? So that comeback is you who will decide, because it is your life and you will decide it. It will not look like a comeback of someone else. It has to be your own comeback on your terms because it is your life. For that, you need to understand these five phrases, understand what we need to do, and move ahead. Now, see, having said all this, it is not difficult to do it. However, many of us might feel overwhelmed by doing all these steps alone in these 90 days. You might miss the track. You might say that, okay, it was just one day, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. And that 90 days become 91 days. You again miss a day, it becomes 92 days. You again miss a day, it becomes 93. And slowly and gradually, those 90 days become 120 days, and your comeback or your reinvention, it goes further. So, to ensure that, I would like to tell you that you do not have to build this alone. I can be with you for the next 90 days to be a partner in architecting your own comeback or reinvention. And for that, your first step would be reaching out to me, sending me a simple message of, Hi Kalpaka, I attended your session 4. I would want you to be my guide for the next 90 days. After that, we'll go on to a clarity call wherein we will understand or unpack your current reality, your specific goals, and your hidden bottlenecks. The step three would be a customized 90-day plan. We will understand your blueprint, a clear direction, a focused weekly structure, and an action roadmap. Along with that, weekly check ins, rapid doubt clearing, and structural accountability would also be there. For that, you can get in touch with me at the numbers which are mentioned here, 7044715745, at the email ID kalpaka.saha@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with me through LinkedIn. So my ID is there with the name of Kalpaka Saha. I have a YouTube channel. You can get in touch with me through that at the rate Heart Siddhi, and the WhatsApp channel Sunday Reads. You can also get in touch with me through that. What I would bring to you, what I would give you, I would give you clarity and direction. I could give you confidence. I could give you a strategic communication to restart your career. I could give you a roadmap and help you in rapid mindset shift. Because having said that, I have already done it. I have already done it for myself and many others. So you can get in touch with me for that. Summing up all the 4 sessions of the Women's Growth Series, I would like to say that integration is your new operating system. Integrating what? Integrating the fear, the experience, the learning, and action. Wherein fear is a feedback, experience is strength, learning builds relevance, and action creates reinvention. I would just like to part away today with saying that start from your strength and not from scratch. Because even if one part of you feels ready to move forward but unsure how, do not ignore that feeling. That is your next step calling you. So leave this session with a decision. So, having more power to all of you, having clarity in what you do, and having the miraculous and a magical comeback and a reinvented you. Wish you all the very best. And thank you so much for attending the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this session.
You're welcome.
Even I come under a overthinking traps. I always overthink even for a small things. But
Okay.
after this session, I'll try my best not to overthink and try to do something so that I can gain confidence.
Yeah, surely, surely, surely.
This session helps me a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Manishri. This the words are of great help and motivation.
Thank you.
So anybody else who wants to just ask anything, any questions, probably I'll be, very ready to answer. Anyone? All right. I think no questions here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Manishri.